Welcome to the 2025 Asia Pacific Photography Awards Advertising and Editorial category. This category is for a broad range of advertising and editorial photography, including automotive, fashion, food, music, product, self-promotion, sport, architecture, urban spaces, historic and industrial photography. Entries may be traditional and/or interpretive. My name is Sarah McGregor. I will be your panel chair today, and we have a wonderful judge panel of Chris Anderson, Johan van Kaan, Simone Jackson, Craig Turner-Bullock, and Rachel Smith. We're going to start this category off with a run-through of the top 10 images for this year. Okay, first image, please. Thank you, judges. We have an initial score of 81.
I'd like to challenge, please.
Yes, go for it, Chris Anderson.
So what a great advertising image. I think I'm going to presume this is for Ocean Aged as a brand. And what more could you ask for to take? How many advertising images do you see of alcohol where the bottle is pristine and it's beautifully lit and it's shiny and it's kind of the optimum beautiful bottle? And this is totally the opposite of that. So the photographers made a choice to make this look as rough as possible because it's ocean aged. I love that it's covered with all of the barnacles and crud. That's really great. And then you add the other elements around with the weathered wood and the rope. It feels like I can smell the ocean when I look at this, which is it's done a really good job of taking me somewhere and grabbing my eye. And I think the way the brand is used is it's just enough so it doesn't overwhelm the image. It's you discover it and it doesn't take over. The hero really is that bottle. I'm on 86, so I had this in silver with merit because I think it matches excellent everything according to the criteria. And I'd love to have a chat about it.
Thanks, Chris. Simone, could we hear from you and your score, please?
Yes, I had this at 78, which I felt was a very good, very, very highly commended image. And as I've listened to you, Chris, I'm definitely happy to go to a silver. I all the points that you brought out too, I really enjoy as well. I suppose I was just struggling a little bit just with the framing with the rope, but that's a small thing. Yeah, I'm happy to come up to silver.
Thanks, Simone. Can we hear from Craig Turner-Bullock, please, with his hand up?
Yeah, so I put this right on the 81. I do think it is deserving of a silver award for all the reasons that you said, Chris. What one nice touch that I liked about it is the aging of the rope, which adds a little bit of color harmony with the text on the label, which I thought for me is what really took it into the silver range to take it above that highly commended. Why I didn't take it further than that is because I do think that it seems like the toning has been done in post-production, and I feel as if some of that toning on the rope has been placed in order to mask some exposure issues there. There's some highlights on the rope that are blown out, and the yellow gets a little bit densely saturated when it's trying to mask those areas and hide that the exposure is not dealt with. So I think that compositionally, conceptually, everything about this is really excellent, but I struggle to take it further than a silver into that higher ranges because of that reason.
Thanks, Craig. Chris Anderson, can we have right of reply, please?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm glad you guys both love what I love about this image, so that's good. I guess if I'm going with your feedback, so Simone, if it's the kind of ropes going around and containing it, I think that's important. Like, and I almost feel like it's an octopus. They look like octopus tentacles coming out, sort of grasping at this. So I found that an enjoyable element, and because the color toning is different from the rope to the bottle, I thought they were complementary rather than fighting. Craig, I take your point about some of those areas of saturation. There's an area of rope sort of in the middle rope towards the bottom that looked flat, and I thought that was fixing an overexposure problem first, but then I kind of went, no, I think it's just flat rope. I think it's rope that's been beaten up by being on a ship. So I don't think the tones in the rope are perfect. I think if they'd been handled a bit better, that would have helped and probably would have brought me up a little bit higher still. So look, I'm on 86 in silver with merit. I'd love to see this squeak up a couple more points to really reward the photographer for an imaginative presentation of a bottle that is very different to what we usually see in advertising images.
Thanks, Chris. Judges, can we please have you rescore? Thank you, judges. That has brought this image up to an 82, which is a silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. Next image, please. Thank you, judges. We've got an initial score of 83. Craig, can we hear from you in the silver with merit range?
Yeah, I've scored this 88. I thought it deserved to be there, not just for the storytelling elements that we have here. I think that there's a lot of kind of mirroring in this image that really enhance what's going on, that really tell the story of not just of exactly what's going on here, but of the location that they're in as well, where you've got the line of the tent mirroring the mountain, and you've got some kind of clouds texture that also mirror that kind of mountain shape. Then you've got that kind of complementary color harmony with the yellows and the kind of bluey grays that really kind of pull your eye straight to where the action is happening. And I really like that kind of motion blur that you've got from the missile launching there as well. I thought that the photographer's done a very good job exposing this to get everything nice and sharp, except for what probably can't be sharp with many shutter speeds. So yeah, I thought this deserved to sneak up a little higher.
Thanks, Craig. Johan, could we hear from you, please?
Yeah, thank you, Craig, because I'm hearing what you're saying, and I can't even remember why I didn't like it. It's true. There's a lot of good things happening in here, and I think I was possibly obsessing too much about the overexposure of the explosion, but that's not even a problem, really. The timing is impeccable. Even the spiral of clouds that wisp off to the left-hand corner is just kind of like an out-of-control projectile itself. So there's a whole lot of complementary and flattering things in there. I was a little bit disturbed by the white snow-capped mountains in the background, but then that also created this awesome contrast to here, this is happening in a beautiful place. So yeah, I gave it a measly 81, and I'm going to go up a little bit at least, if not more.
Thanks, Johan. Rachel, could we hear from you, please, and your score?
Yeah, my score was 83, so I'm sitting right on where it's at the moment. Absolutely agree with everything Craig said. It is beautifully timed. It's actually a really unique subject. We don't see this sort of thing very often. For me, what kept me in that silver range is that I feel like this had to be very well set up and timed and planned, and I'd just like to see a little bit more space on the right compositionally for that movement, that eye with the rocket. But that's the only thing that's holding me back, which is pretty minimal.
Thank you, Rachel. Craig, back to you.
Okay, Johan, you said if not more in your score coming up with me. And I'm sitting here, and the more I'm sitting here with this image, the more I think if not more is deserved. And I would urge you guys to think about whether this is deserving of a gold. A couple of little things that I think to address your concern about the tension where the eye going on the right-hand side in the direction of the missile, Rachel. I think that tension is exactly what this kind of moment is about. This would have had to have involved quite a lot of skill and planning from the photographer to capture this moment. One of the other little things that I thought was really nice touch is that if you look at that line of the tent, it matches exactly with the horizon line, which makes this setup feel even more camouflaged and hidden, which I guess is another thing that you would see in this kind of scene. So there's a lot to enjoy and look at here. There's a lot of little Easter eggs that that you can explore this image for a long time and sit with and notice new things. I can't change my score. I have to keep it the same, but I would urge you to consider whether or not this is worthy of going into the gold range.
Thanks, Craig. Judges, can you please rescore? Thank you. We have a silver with merit at 87. Congratulations to the photographer. Can we have the next image, please? Thank you, judges. We have a score of 83. We'll accept that. Congratulations to the photographer. Could we have a comment from someone, please? Johan?
Hi. Yeah. Quite a beautiful image with lovely sense of three-dimensionality from the content, plus also the coloration, the blues with the yellows. The thing that sort of possibly drew me away a little bit was the brightness towards the bottom right-hand corner of the image. It sort of pulled me down and weighted me in, while the heaviness of the top sort of pushed down on it as well. So I think if that could have been addressed, it might have been a bit brighter and more inviting.
Thank you. Can we have the next image, please? Thank you, judges. We have an initial score of 87 and we have an automatic challenge from Johan.
Really? Excellent. I love the blue and the yellow. The blue and the yellow are wonderful opposites existing in this image, and they grab your attention. It's a simple image, and there's a delicacy in the elements and a subtlety to the concrete or to the ground. It's just a visual feast, really, but it's just so simple. I really can't tell you why you should be judging higher, except I don't know why you didn't. And that's not a good reason, and I'm sorry, but it's just so beautifully balanced. It's so simple. The graphic, almost pencil lines running through the image, where the arrows come from, where the lines intersect and don't intersect. It's actually quite wonderful. Yeah. If I was going to say one thing, it would be, why not?
Thanks, Johan. Chris Anderson, could we hear from you, please, and your score?
Yep, I'm on 84, so I'm at the top end of silver. Johan, the reasons you love this, I love this too. I think the photographers made a bunch of really good choices here. When you think about, how could they have exposed it for the concrete to make it as beautiful as they can? They've done that. Like there's a good tonality in here. The thing that kept me from going higher than 84 is, look, I appreciate the rich color that's in here, but it bothers me that the exposure on the left yellowy orange thing is higher than the one on the right. So there's like a disparity of saturation in that, and in kind of the yellowy orange thing. And then if you look at the gate, it's a bit brighter. And like that may be true to reality, but I feel like in a piece that's as graphic as this, that's within our control to address. And that would have brought this to make it, that level of control to bring those colors together would have elevated that for me. That's the thing that's keeping me from going higher, but I'm definitely listening and I want to talk some more about it.
Thanks, Chris. Can we hear from Rachel, please, and your score?
Yes, I scored this one 86. I guess similar reasons for both Chris and Johan, to be honest. I'm really enjoying the perspective. I'm enjoying the fact that there's balance, but it's slightly imperfect because the barrier arms are not quite on the same angle. I think that's really beautiful and holds engagement. I like the fact that the tracks don't necessarily match the direction of the arrow. So there's been all manner of other stuff going on there, which is slightly disruptive, but it's still a very peaceful and interesting image. But I also agree with Chris about the color balance between those two yellows. And for me, what stopped me going up above 86 was actually the tones reflecting from that right hand yellow barrier onto the gate, because I felt like that could have been something that was for me to go into gold, just slightly better handled. But absolutely listening, Johan.
Thanks, Rachel. Johan, back to you.
Great. That side is the thing that sort of is perplexing. But when you look at it as a ladder and you see how it leads you up into the image and forms a solid base from which everything else emanates for the rest of the image. So it's great that it's up towards the side because it doesn't take over the picture, it actually frames it and it holds it in place. And I liked the fact that it was there, that it was solid, that it was, and even the yellow strip, that was darker because it gave you an anchor. And then the rest of the image lets you float around and enjoy the pointing, the let's call it the misdirection. So you've got the arrows which are pointing to the arms with the red bands on it, and they're pointing in different directions. It's actually quite a perplexing little puzzle, really. Very simple, very graphic, and well seen. I gave it a 92.
Thanks, Johan. So we're currently sitting on 87. Johan challenging to 92. Judges, can you please rescore? Thank you, judges. Congratulations to the photographer. That image has scored a 90, which is a gold. Well done. Next image, please. Thank you, judges. We've got quite nice even scoring there. This image scores an 85, which is a silver with merit, and we will accept that. Can we have a comment from someone, please?
I can. Yeah, I think you've done a beautiful job here with the lighting and the treatment of this model's skin. I think for me to improve it, some of the blacks in the hairpiece, and I'm going to make an assumption here that this is for a hair advertising or competition or something similar. Some of those blacks are a little bit too deep, and there's absolutely no detail in there. Perhaps a little bit more detail on that lip as well would be really nice. So that would be my suggestion for improvement.
Thanks, Craig. Can we have the next image, please? Thank you, judges. We have a score of 81, which is a silver award. Can we have a comment, please, from one of the judges? Simone, do you want to do this one? Oh, Craig, were you about to say something?
Simone, if you want to go.
No, you put your hand up, you're good.
Okay, so all right. This is a really wonderful composition in this image, and really like the character and those birds. It is really, really over sharpened, which is why I didn't score higher. You can see very crunchy edges around all of those circles and within that concrete as well. So back off on that, and that would lift this massively for me.
Thanks, Craig. Can we have the next image, please? Thank you, judges. Nice even scoring there. We have a silver award at 81. Would anyone like to give feedback to the photographer? Johan?
Yep. Well done on getting everybody looking towards the camera. They should be driving though. I really like the juxtaposition of the two planes that we can see. I just felt that the back end of the image was a lot brighter than the front end, and that a little bit more room on the front and maybe a bit of a darkening on the back would have led us towards where they were flying rather than from where they've been. Yeah, that was it, but good image.
Thanks, Johan. Can we have the next image, please? Thank you, judges. We have an initial score of 86, which is a silver with merit. And we have an automatic challenge from Craig Turner-Bullock on 92.
Yeah, I think this is a very strong image in this category. I can see its use. I think that the photographer has made a very clever choice of using this slow shutter speed, which has really rendered that background, which could have been quite busy, into an area where text could easily be applied and overlaid. And I think it's really clear of what this person is doing, and I think the technique is excellent. The color palette is really beautiful, and it's something in this kind of space which I haven't really seen before. It's got that kind of uniqueness that I think we're looking for when we're going into those scores of 90 and above. So let's have a chat about it.
Thanks, Craig. Simone, could we hear from you, please, and your score?
Yeah, no worries. I scored 82 in a solid silver, and I was probably being a little bit tight on it. So I'm happy to come up to a silver with merit. I suppose just what was holding me back a tiny bit, and that's just I was just leaning a little bit to the right with the beach line, and I probably would have just liked to see a little bit the luminance of the blues just brought up a little bit as well. But yeah, I'm definitely happy to have come up to an distinction.
Thank you. Rachel, could we hear from you and your score, please?
Yeah, I scored this one 87, and I'm agreeing with everything Craig says. I find that in this category, it's perfectly placed for adding text and stuff. I guess the thing for me is that I feel like the smoothing of the sea is a great choice for placement of text or illustrative purposes. But the environment that these guys work in is usually quite rugged and rough. And so there's a little bit of a juxtaposition there that I'm struggling with. But I don't think that really matters. And I'm happy to come up higher.
Thanks, Rachel. Craig, back to you.
Cool. Thanks, Rach. I think that to just address the rugged and rough thing, not all days at sea are like that. So I think that's okay. Simone, you're worried about the horizon. Wonky horizons is one of my pet hates. I absolutely hate wonky horizons. But you're right, this one is wonky. However, I think the photographer has made a very conscious choice to make the back of the boat behind the guy there as the anchor point of what is level. And at sea, everything's wobbly, and horizon is debatable whether it's straight or not anyway. So I think it fits. I think the photographer's also done a really beautiful job with handling the light here. His face has got the light coming onto one side. That shadow from the cap has been well handled, so you can see detail in his face there. And I really love that little touch of motion blur in the hand that's not on the motor of the boat, just to add authenticity to an exposure, which I think people might sometimes assume that post-production is used to do something like this, whereas I think that's a telltale sign that this is something that's been carefully done in camera. So yeah, let's reward this with a nice score in that 90 range, please.
Thanks, Craig. Judges, can you please rescore? Well done, everyone. Thank you for that. We have a gold at 90. So congratulations to the photographer. Can we have the next image, please? Thank you. We have a score of 81, which is a silver award, and we will accept that score. Can we have some feedback, please, for the photographer? Johan, have you got your hand up? Yep, perfect.
Okay. I really love this image. I would have gone and batted for this, but a crime against photography is dust spots. And there's two very significant dust spots, probably others as well, but two that jump out at you and say, I could be fixed. And such an easy thing to do. And if you handed this in as an advertising assignment, I think the client would be disappointed if once they saw them. So that's unfortunate. But beautiful use of color, tone, arrows, and bricks. Fantastic otherwise.
Thanks, Johan. Can we have the next image, please? Thank you, judges. We have a score of 81, which is a silver award, and we will accept that. Can we have a comment from one of the judges, please, on this image? Maybe Chris Anderson?
Oh, sure. So this is the really striking image. There's excellent impact, and I think, you know, it draws you in immediately, and that's really strong. I think for me, I'm on 81 as well, so I was a bit unsure about the way the lighting had been handled in the hair. If this is advertising hair, because that backlighting is so strong, it becomes, rather than a kind of accentuating the hair that we're looking at, it becomes about the glow from behind, and it's quite distracting. I think something else that might have perhaps raised this for me is I found the subject's face kind of looking off and in that kind of neutral expression maybe wasn't as engaging as if they'd had eye contact with the camera or had something a little bit more definitive. So I think there's a lot of really good elements here that are on the way to making an absolutely spectacular image. I just look at those couple of things to elevate this.
Thanks so much, Chris, and thank you to all the entrants in the 2025 Advertising and Editorial category. That is our top 10 images for this year. We'll see you at the next category judging.